Hey guys, it's me, welcome back to my channel. Today we're watching episode 7 and 6 of Spare Me Your Mercy. I said that backwards, but whatever. I'm excited. Very nervous as well because I don't know anything. Last week I was like, by this time I might or might not have watched or read the novel because there is an English translation of it. Able to buy on Meb, and I did buy it. But I only read like a third of it. I was read like 100 something pages, and like when I ended, I was like, okay, like this is a good place to end. It was when like the pen shows up. I'm not really sure if like that's the pen that we're talking about in the series version, or there's gonna be another pen incident or whatever. Because as I was reading it, like even the first few times, I was like, what the fuck am I reading? This is not what I've seen in the series. There was a lot of differences, and as I read along, like okay, like I get why there are some things that are omitted from the novel compared to the series, because this is kind of like the author has this kind of universe, I think, and she has tried to connect those books together. So like this series takes time between Manner of Death and Triage, like between those timelines. So Dr. Bunn, aka Tool's character in Manner of Death, does show up a lot in the novel, and obviously Tool does not act anymore, and this is from a different company as well, so like obviously he's not gonna show up as a cameo in here or anything whatsoever. So I can get why a lot of the scenes, the cases that they were looking at was omitted, but at the same time it kind of confused me. I'm like, because it was a lot more sexual, a lot more intense as well too. So if you haven't read it, you guys should, if you want more of that romance, kind of sexual romance kind of story. Not saying that they're not doing a great job in the series, but it's like a more, what's it called, expressive in their kind of sexual attractions towards each other and stuff like that. So maybe we'll get more in the upcoming episodes. I'm not really sure, but yeah. So like there is that quite difference where I'm like, okay, like this does feel like a light kind of inspiration more of it, of the novel, than like full like adaptation in many ways. But it's still like with the same character, with a lot of the same cases as well as those. But that being said, I have no idea who the murderer is. I actually don't have any like bigger information than any of you guys who've not read the novel, because of like where I stopped. Maybe there are some certain cases that we're going to be seeing like in here, like in the next few I'm like imagining a timeline like, oh, I'm here where everybody else is, and this is like the future where we know that who the murderer is. I don't know anything other than that, unless they move things around, which I doubt is the case as well, because we have 3 episodes left and I'm only a third way done with the book, so calculating it, I don't think so. But yeah, I'm nervous, I'm scared. I have seen nothing, I think. It's been a long day. There's a lot of things happening with the Heart Killer on Wednesday, and then also Jasper's debut today. Yeah. So we're gonna watch episode 6 and 7 of Spare Me Mercy. Without further ado, let's go.
ผมว่าผมพร้อมแล้ว
For what?
อะไรนะ
Yeah.
ที่หมอเคยชวนให้ผมมาอยู่ด้วยกัน ผมว่าผมพร้อมแล้ว ถ้าผมจะมาให้หมอเลี้ยง
But you were literally suspecting him as a murderer earlier, and you're like, let's move in together. That's so suspicious. This is how you met him. He looks like a kitty. He looks like a lost cat. He's like getting caught. Look at Jailer. Expression. He's like, oops. Oh, that's like on the same bed. Yes. Oh, I'm waiting for the scene. Oh my god. Stop! What the fuck? Ah! We're gonna finish the scene yet. We're going back. This is so cute! Oh my god. Litter boyfriend activities. I'm sorry, in these situations, does 2 ever consider like maybe going with him? or them working together. Why is it so hard for these two to go to places together? Like, because right now we're pretty clear that obviously Gunn is not the murderer, and I think 2 has some, like, hope that it's not him either. Maybe there is some chances, but, like, if you think that he's the murderer, you should follow him even more. No, yeah.
ที่คุณทำคุณฉีด KCL ทำให้ผู้ป่วยตายอย่างทุกข์ทรมาน
You see, okay, but the other thing is, okay, so now we know it's him, because I read somewhere, okay, it's like, if, it's like a long time ago, it was like, you know how in Trapped, at the end, he went to jail, right? And I was thinking, like, is that gonna be another trap thing? But the thing is, the people that suspected that was murder was Nippon, whatever the girl name is, and then also the director. Those are all done by Boss. He is the one who's murdering them, okay? Like, though that is straight up murder that has been confirmed by at least other people, they were all dead, and, or obviously, war was used, cause of death is euthanasia, okay? But those were people were not considered as murder cases. And the possibility, the logic here right now is that we don't have to see him go to jail at the end of this if we are only caring about the suspects who has killed the people they've already been talking about, which is these 3 people so far. So, in my mind, in the perfect world, we get evidence against him. He goes to jail. He goes to fucking jail. And then he's idolized Gunn so much that he does not talk about those euthanasia cases. And that just gets swept under the bus. Under the carpet. Whatever that analogy is. I don't remember. Whatever. I'm really, like, hyped right now. Okay. That would be so much, like, that would be the perfect world, you know? Because at the end of the day, yes, murder is, euthanasia, assisted suicide is illegal in Thailand, okay? And also it was, like, a lot more clearer in the novel, like, how they're like, yeah, this is illegal. Compared to this, which was why, like, I had, like, so much speculations in the first half of the series. It was like, didn't know until somebody told me about it. But, okay. But we're talking about morals and ethics, and, like, if in those cases these people wanted to use this method to pass away, right? So, like, to me personally, like, if they ended, let's say, like, he does get away with what he's been doing, Gunn has gotten away with what he's doing, I wouldn't be like, this is logically wrong, this is ethically wrong, morally wrong, because what he's doing is in many areas of the world legal and allowed, and there is ethical kind of, like, backing to it, you know, and, like, research done on it. It's very political, I know, and it's very controversial, but at the end of the day, the story is about it. And I really love at the beginning of the novel that the author did write a small snippet of, like, acknowledgement and also, like, kind of the reasoning why she wrote this in the first place. And I think it was also, it kind of sets a tone to what she's trying to portray into it. So thinking about that aspect, it does make a lot of sense if this, like, what he's done gets swept under the carpet and not fully, he doesn't get quote unquote punished for it, but Boz does get punished for what he's done, because once again, what he's done is murder. They did not let the patients choose to pass away peacefully. He kind of forced it on that. So the 3-4 people that he's killed technically is murder compared to what Gunn has done. Getting my ideas? Yeah. Oh my god. That the way he's screaming, screaming for him. That concern, like, the love of your life is like, oh.
คุณหนีผมไปไหนไม่ได้หรอก ถ้ามีอะไรเพิ่มเติมเดี๋ยวผมมาใหม่ คุณหนีผมไปไหนไม่ได้หรอก
Shut the fuck up. I'm so shocked. He's asking for a kiss. And look at those eyes. Look at those eyes. We're gonna talk. I let you die peacefully. He's gonna let him die peacefully if he shuts up about Gunn. Ah!
ฉันยินดี
Fuck
จะดูแลเธอ
Oh god
การที่จะมีคนผิดเพิ่มขึ้นอีกคนมันก็ไม่ได้ช่วยให้โทษของเธอลดลงหรอกศาลอาจจะตัดสินให้เธอไม่ต้องถูกจำคุก
based on his state
ถ้า
now
เธอเป็นอัมพาต
yeah oh Is that guy the dad? It could be the dad, right? Would that make sense? I don't know. But yeah, that's my reaction to episode 6 and 7 of 6 and 7 of Spare Me Your Mercy. And yeah, it is Boss who did the ones that we were, you know, because we kind of like the palliative care people who like died peacefully. I think we all were aware that it was Gunn, but like who was the murderer for like everything else? We were like Boss, oh, the other doctor, you know, these things. And the moment there, I maybe thinking it was Gunn for a moment. But it is Boss. I think it was pretty clear. I think for me at the beginning, I was swayed by a lot of people's theories as well throughout the episodes. But at the beginning, once I saw, like, I knew he was gonna be the murderer because of just his ideology. It just seemed very not correct, and you can clearly see that there is something going on in him that like kind of switched his perspective, that in the idolization of Gunn and everything. Right? And that comment, he's like, I can play the person who determines if a patient is dead or alive, and stuff like that. So it's that, I, for a moment there, I really wanted to, like, look through some kind of disorders that could explain why he chose to do the way it is, but definitely this is a lot more difficult. There's a lot more things. It could be trauma-based and a lot of other things, and I don't have a full history of him, so it's harder for me to kind of explain, because we get one snippet of that, but, like, that does not count as, like, conduct disorder or kind of like these like, disorders that require some kind of childhood experience. Like antisocial personality disorder requires a lot of other histories and a lot of history to kind of diagnose that, and just for me, I just don't feel comfortable doing that in this situation right now. It is not clear as simple as that it is, but there is definitely something going on with him that kind of persuade kind of his mindset and changed him into becoming the way he is and stuff like that. But yeah, I really love that scene, the conversation between Gunn and Boss of who is, what they've done, and what consider murder and what consider euthanasia. Because I think in Gunn's perspective, what he's done is right and okay, and I agree with that in the sense, you know, I think it's easier for me to agree with him and kind of understand his perspective of things because one, I have some kind of education behind what euthanasia is and kind of the ethical kind of standpoint of it as well too, and living in a state that allows assisted suicide. And I've heard like one question, I took an ethics class for my program, right? And one question I brought up is, how do we handle people who want to do assisted suicide? Because we do, as I am a student who is becoming a licensed counselor, and one thing we learned is about like what is like suicide risk and risk assessments of that, and then we explain like what of those who are here to plan out like assisted suicide and stuff like that. And we kind of briefly talked about the idea that, like, you know, in that is a different situation, that it's not somebody who is suicidal or has suicidal ideation. It's just a whole different thing, and it's not talked about as much because it is in many ways controversial still, even in the state that I live in that allows it, has legalized it. But to them, that is a choice. It is considered a medical, like, to me, in many ways, and even to, I think, Gunn as well, it's considered a medical procedure that is done, a medical procedure that helps you feel more comfortable in your end of life and choosing to speed up your time here. And I've heard stories and I've seen videos of individuals who are terminally ill and who have, you know, are struggling, and it's not like peaceful at all. It's very, very painful. You know, your body is shutting down. It is turning off every organ. It's affecting, it's changing, dying. It's dying. It's literally dying. And it's not something that a person wants to experience day to day for months on end as they pass away. And having like their choice, and back to the point of like consent and everything, I think it's easier for me to fully kind of understand where Gunn is coming from and that choice from the patient as well, because we've seen the process of how Gunn does it. Is my opinions and thoughts are gonna change drastically if we didn't see that scene? I don't think so, but I think it's fully like understandable and like, and kind of like clear. It's clear for me between Gunn and Boss because of that scene we saw with the older gentleman that, you know, he asked all these questions about like, are you aware of this? Is anybody forcing you to do this? You know what's gonna happen? All these consent questions. I think my mind is like, it's drilled into me for consent, and for informed consent is drilled into my mind because that is so important in the health field, every field, anything in the world, and consent is so important. So hearing the consent part, I think makes me just like understand Gunn a lot more and his choices and stuff. And once again, there's a good part. There's a lot of things that they don't really highlight, a lot of detailed stuff that they don't highlight from the novel into the series. And one of the things I really love that I wish they kind of put onto this in earlier episodes when we learned that Gunn does euthanasia and stuff like that is that he talked about like this idea of palliative care, this idea of euthanasia, of assisted suicide, is not created by him. He is not the person who created this ideology and is conducting these medical treatments. This is something that is been talked about all over the world for years already. This is something that is done around the world and has illegal in many places as well too. He took them from textbooks, from teachers, and learned from them and continue on that process and use that as a theory. It is a theory that is already like, that is concrete, and he is using that and spreading his words, like spreading these words with his ability and his kind of like quote unquote fame as a doctor and his success as a doctor. So it's not like he woke up one day and like, oh yeah, assisted suicide is a good idea, I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna spread it like I'm a cult leader. That's not what he's doing. He's a doctor, learned something, developed it into the area where he lives, and spread the words about it. I think that was such a great point to put that like was brought up in the novel, that I'm like, that makes a lot more sense. And that kind of like, because a lot of people were like which was valid, I think in the novel, a lot of people were kind of, even in the series right now, people were like, but like, even like this isn't right, you're killing patients, but, and like, I'm not doing it. This is something that's already built. I'm not the crazy one here. Sorry. I said crazy as in the sense of like, you know, I'm not the one who like just woke up and wanted to murder people, right? This is something that has been developed for years and years and years on our end. So, once again, Gunn is performing assisted suicide. Boss, on the other hand, is somebody who, once again, have experienced trauma and kind of have this mindset of like, these people who are terminally ill are a burden to society, a burden to their family, a burden to themselves. They deserve to die. They need to die because they are a burden. That's what he believes, because he saw his parents and his mom killing his dad, who was suffering from a terminal illness. And he sees that, and he sees like, okay, and then once he hears Gunn's kind of seminar and everything, he's like, wait, there's a way I can do that. A medical professional, a doctor who can control who lives and who dies. Because that's what he heard. He did not hear anything else. I think, in like logically for me, if I go to a seminar and I hear something very interesting, I will do my research on what is actually done. What is this theory? But for him, he heard that and he's like, light switch turned on, and he's like, I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna do what he does. And he hears all these things and do all, and and God has been doing is like, yeah, they're doing that, so I'm gonna go help him that out. Like, you know, like the idealization is still there, and also the kind of skewed mentality that he has, and that's the difference between your characters. So it's like another like analogy about is you have two people who are exactly the same, and it's been fun. It's still kind of controversial and everything, but it's still debatable about like exactly like how certain things happen, because you have two people born in the same place, same time, have everything the same, but if you put them in two different environments, then one could develop mental health disorder and one does not. Why is that? And then environmental factor is a huge part of our mental health and our minds and our any kind of our whole body, our health in general, right? So it's that environmental. He was put in a different environment with Gunn. They both can have the same idea of like, you know, terminally ill patients deserve to pass away peacefully because he was in this environment. But Boss was put into a different environment where he saw terminally ill people as a burden because that's what his parents had showed him. That mentality put in that situation, that environment, leads to two different outcomes. They were both just kids at one point of their lives, and also the fact that they both had parents who were terminally ill at not the same time, but like as a child, like they had both parents and they saw the outcome of it. One went that direction because, once again, one has a different environment compared to the other. One was left as an orphan. Has a great factor into that. Kind of the idea of like being abandoned. The other one, his family is rich, has money. Has a big factor as that too. I'm not saying that all rich people are going to have a good life and have no mental health disorders, but statistics are there. I'm not going to say statistics I don't have that on top of my head, but there are things out there that kind of prove, and also this idea that like the access to treatment as well have like different outcomes. There's a lot of things going on. Okay, it's so many factors can get impacted. It's not just genetics, not biological. There's environmental, social, all these things that impact a person to become the person they are. So I think that's a great example of like what we see in this stuff about how so much stuff can impact our life like that. Other than this kind of like murder mystery, I see this show as two different planes. The biggest part is murder mystery show, figuring out who the killer is, and the whole idea about like what's right and what's wrong. And then there's a really cute moment here where we get to see cute boyfriendy stuff with Gun and Wasan, and that is the cutest, and that's where I squeal the most, and that's where I'm most excited about. There were so many cute scenes this episode. I'm so happy. Both episodes actually. I just like have so much fun. I started making little like compilations of just their cute moments in the first episode 1 through episode 5. 6, 7 I obviously just watched, so I haven't made one. I'll be making one too. So if you want to watch those to lighten up your day sometimes, it's on my TikTok. I can't post that here because I use Die With a Smile by Bruno Mars and Lady Gaga for it because I feel like the song fits for them. I'm gonna find a different song for these 2 episodes, but if you want to be happy, go watch those clips if you want. So yeah, that's been a bit for my reaction. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on my social media link down below. See you next time. Bye.